A warm welcome to all new patrons, and of course, many thanks again for your support. It's only been 2 weeks since our last major update with the huge landing page, and now I already have the next one ready for you. A modular sewer system that fits into just about any adventure. Have fun! And with that, hello and welcome to the Modular Sewer system. The Modular Sewer consists of 4 large maps and sceneries, with tons of details for all sorts of gameplay opportunities and ideas you can bring to life on these maps. We are going to take a detailed look at all of that. I'm currently here in Foundry VTT, and if you support us on Patreon, you can install this release with a single click. To do that, you link your account and Patreon and simply go through Moulinette and our module to our assets, and then you can comfortably download everything. Just go to Beneos Battlemaps and look under M for the Modular Sewer. Right here you click on it, the window opens, and via the import scene you can install the release you see here in one click. It's important to note that if you're on Foundry VTT version 13, it looks a bit different because you work with the Moulinette media search. What you're looking at is still the Moulinette scenes interface for version 12, but the workflow is identical. To walk through and explain what there is to discover and how you as a game master can perfectly integrate this location into your campaign, I'm going to pull an actor in here. I use our Beneos Search Engine that comes with the Beneos module and search for the Night Maiden. I think she's really cool, and this is a token I like a lot. You can install it and drag it onto the scene. And make sure a player can actually use her. We also have to grant the permission so that a player is allowed to control it. Then we can immediately switch to the player's perspective, but before that let's take a bird's eye overview through the individual scenes. This is our Night Maiden. If you're a Beneos Tokens patron, you get her along with around 600 creatures or so. They are fully integrated, so you can drop them straight into your game. I don't want to show you all of that in detail right now. Instead, let's move on to different maps. This is one of 4 large maps, and as you can see, there isn't a predetermined path. You as the game master can describe and tell your own story. What you experience here is ultimately up to you. There are many possibilities for the kinds of stories you might tell. Each of these maps has different areas, none of which are mandatory. If I go over to the wall segment, you can see there are quite a few secret doors and that you can reveal or keep hidden depending on the stories you're telling. That means you can simply show the sewers when it's about pursuing someone or finding something. It's basically a dungeon crawl, and all those rooms you see in the middle aren't visible to the players at the start. If I move the token over here, you'll see only you as the game master can see this area. Players wouldn't see it. These are all optional rooms. That's why I've labeled it accordingly. For example, you could establish a hideout for a criminal organization here, or the lair of a serial killer whose trail your players needs to unravel. And this could be where the quest ends, where they confront the villain. Here I've put in a random secret room where you might let them track down a treasure or artifact that was sealed away centuries ago as the end of a quest line. So the players find the item here on site, and maybe they encounter a rival group that tries to steal it from them, or maybe not, depending on your story. There are also entrances to a cave complex at several points in the sewer. You could pass through here and have it lead into a larger network of caverns that combines perfectly with our other cave maps. But you could use it in 2 different ways. For example, you could say these are the sewers of a besieged or enemy city, and your players are trying to infiltrate it in disguise. Then you could have them enter through a cave system from the outside, hack through a wall and emerge into the actual sewer. It's a super immersive way to use these optional elements. And that's how every other map is structured. We have a large main canal complex, and at certain points the players can leave the area and walk to the next map on their own if you want them to. If you don't want your players to leave here, just delete these teleporters. The teleporters are journal entries you can delete yourself, and then your players won't see them anymore. That way you can seal off the map if you just need it as one large battle map. You can also set up great chase sequences here, for example. Or for example, imagine a gelatinous cube chasing the players here, and then another one shows up, of course, from the other side, trapping them in a deadly squeeze. There are so many possibilities, and this is just one of the maps. As the Game Master, you have the ability, as always, to use this navigation to move to the next map. And as always, each map has handouts that show certain locations in detail. These are, as I mentioned, optional handouts you can show your players if they are relevant to your story. Here, for example, is the corpse of a serial killer's victim. Or here someone was autopsied because people don't trust the corrupt city guard, and so on. You can tell countless stories, and each scene, we are still on the first map, also has its own scenery. Remember? This is a roleplay scene of the same location that you can pull up when you don't need a battle map. If you simply want to describe how your players navigate here in the theater of mind, you can just load it as a scene and your players will have a visual input, whether you are playing online or at the table on a TV, so they have something to look at, and it really helps the immersion. Again, all of this is highly optional. I emphasize this because people often say in their feedback that they use the maps only for what's on the tag or in the title. And that's not necessary, because as always, you are the master of your game and you decide what happens. These are all just ideas for play. Let's move on to the next map. And as I said, each map is optional and can tell different stories. And here we continue with the sewer. This map has a cellar with a storage room and scurrying rats that make the light flicker. And for example, it could be the basement of a prison or garrison or a shop, and your players could either break out of the prison and escape through the sewer, because there's another secret door here you can open, which could symbolize your players breaking through the wall to escape or to break in, depending on the scenario. And you could, for instance, have your players rescue an important ally from the garrison. They could reach this location through the sewers, plant a magical demolition charge, or hack their way in with brute strength. And that gives them a narratively believable way to get into the building. It's a classic heist scenario, breaking in or robbing. Down here, I've placed a nest. It says optional spider nest, which means you could tell a story where people in the city disappear and turn up somewhere completely drained of blood, washed up in the sewer. And at the end of that questline, you could have the big fight against the Spider Queen here, or whatever you decide. We also have numerous spider tokens you can use for that. I can search for spider and you'll see we have more spiders than you'll probably ever need. I don't know, maybe we take the swarm of spiders or the web lurker arachnid. This is another Beneos token, and you can set up a fight here in no time at all. Allow me a brief bit of self-promotion. Imagine during a session you come up with this location here, and the session wipe tells you you don't need a big social encounter right now, and instead you want a fight to liven things up. But you haven't prepared one, the classic. Then you come here and we'll do the same thing again. I'll search for spider and drag one in here. We have the face spider, but let's stick with the web lurker that I mentioned earlier. And we can pull it onto the map right here, and the nice thing is that when you click on the journal, you see the journal entry and immediately feel the immersive integration. That means you have text you can read aloud when the fight starts or when the players encounter the creature, but what's even more interesting is the tactical guide. Here You see right away what you need to do with this monster before the fight and what its abilities are. Within a few seconds you immediately grasp what the monster is about and how to use it effectively without having to read through its abilities forever beforehand. The tactical guide is also part of the description here in the biography. That means every token we make includes this tactical guide. This is our second patron, Beneos Token Spells and Items, and I just wanted to show you how quickly with the complete Beneos solution and what we offer, you can tell countless stories. So here we have the cellar, and as I said, from here you could go out and you could also continue through it. I've arranged this so that it could be a prison as well, where the Thieves Guild has locked up someone who hasn't paid their debts, and your players have to try to free that person for a quest. That's the second map. And of course everything is fully animated and looks wonderful with reflections of light, with shadows and beams shining down through the grates. I intentionally kept the lighting a bit muted so it could be either moonlight or daylight, allowing you to use it perfectly regardless of the time of the day. Let's head up to the next map. And all the maps are linked to each other as mentioned before. You can turn it into one big dungeon crawl or simply use each map on its own. Alright, you could make an old flood chamber here that fills with water when it rains. All sorts of debris has been washed in here, but it could also be a storage area for the Thieves Guild. This room is big enough for large battles where several factions can face off against each other. For example, the Thieves Guilds and another guild could fight out their pretty criminal war here, and the players are right in the middle of it. It offers plenty of space to carry out the fight. You can head up here, and here it starts to get a bit more ruined, and you can see it's like a dead end, almost an arena. Here you could, for example, pit them against a froghemoth, a giant frog monster that drags the players underwater. Or this could even be the entrance to an aboleth lair. There are so many possibilities for what you could do. Down here, there's another hidden room. Players don't see it by default. So if I drag another token in here, let's stick with our Night Maiden, the players won't see this part of the map. Nor will they see this location until you reveal it. But you can go over here, and if your players need to come here, and you can give them the clue beforehand that there is a secret door here, and they can discover the secret room themselves. The idea of this place is that it's a dungeon entrance. This could be an old small temple where forbidden acolytes in the city performs their unholy ceremonies, or it could be the entrance to a second secret city beneath the city. This could be a beholder lair, and so on and so forth. From here you could seamlessly transition into our dungeons. It goes perfectly with our, for example, modular dungeon set. You can also download it with a click via Moulinette. For example, I click on this here, and then they could go down these stairs into this amazing mega dungeon where they can hack their way through, including traps and much more. All of these, as I said, are just ways to use it, not obligations. Again, there's an entrance to a larger cave here. You can tell so many stories, and yeah, I repeat myself. This also leads into a large cave. If the players enter from another side, you might find the source of the contaminated water here. The water that makes the city sick because someone might be poisoning it, or maybe there are dead demons lying here and that's why people in the city are going mad, and so on. There are so many quest possibilities that the map itself as a visual medium offers you. And that's always important to me, that you can tell as many stories as possible here. You can also just run a random encounter. For example, here, you players roll poorly on your random encounter table and ran into some bandits who just robbed a store and are using these tunnels as their escape route and think you and your party are the gods and immediately attack you and so on. And instantly run a battle and still have a great looking map right away. That sets a fantastic mood. And that's exactly what I'm going for. Alright, that's the third of our 4 maps. Now we come to the next map. This is the fourth one, and the concept is, as always, the same. We have more sewers. Here's another entrance. This could, for example, lead to the waste treatment plant or the sewer guild, which represents the official entrance to the underground. Your players could also come out here when it's about infiltrating the city. They could emerge and pose as residents of the city. And here I've placed another hideout. This is a small cave system that I've labeled as Monster Lair. You could place a beast here that haunts your city, dragging people to their deaths at night and hiding the bodies here. And either this is doors open because the monster has broken through the wall and used it as its lair, or it's smart enough to cast a magical illusion over the entrance so it can operate here undisturbed. And I've given a little visual clue here with the dirt and rubble pile to suggest it's believable that it continues on from here. You even see blood and entrails here, and you can do all sorts of things here. You could just say, what could we use here? Maybe a vampire spawn, for example. A huge vicious monstrosity that you can just drag onto the map here, and this alone is already a beast worthy of a showdown. And as always, you have the prompts and the tactical guide, and let you immediately pick up the monster and know right away how it works, what its abilities are and what makes this monster unique. Our Leon, who designs all the creatures, does an unbelievably great job. I can't say enough about the quality of these tokens. I use them, I love them. The quality of the maps should be obvious, but the tokens are also a great addition. And that's the end of the fourth map, and I think just in this short time you can see how many possibilities there are for using these maps. Again, as always, there are handouts, just as you're used to, that you can use to tell your story. As the Game Master, you always have the option to switch to the overview map via the navigation. Every release has an overview map that also shows you the whole area again from a bird's eye view, so that you always know where everything is. Here's the cave entrance, here's the hidden room, here's the Thieves Guild hideout or whatever. Up here is the monster lair we just looked at, or the dungeon entrance, everything we just saw. And you can see that from here you can quickly jump to the respective locations. Now let's move over to the intro sequence. And I just need to quickly mute the audio. But by the way, what you are seeing here, the frame, it isn't normally there. It's simply what your players are seeing on the other side, on their perspective. Your players see the whole thing in full screen, and you can always see where the players are and what they can see if you want to. You can turn that off in the log view settings without any problems. As the GM, you can start and stop the intros for your players. This intro that you just saw is looped. That means it runs endlessly if you want to keep the sequence running all the time while your group moves through the sewers. The video itself doesn't spoil any of the secret rooms, of course. They're just generic sewer footage meant to convey the mood of this place. And the idea I had is that this place regularly floods when the water level rises or there's a big rainfall. That's why you see these weathered algae hanging from the ceiling, which simply symbolizes that at any moment this thing could go under, literally. But yeah, that's the summary of this location. And if you like what you see and want to use it yourself, don't hesitate to support us on Patreon. And as you can see, you can download everything instantly with a click, and you get access to everything you see. You get access to all the releases we have published here, which you can see listed on the right hand side. From the modular maps to the individual single map releases to our specific locations. If you really want to go all out, you can use for a steampunk airship. let me show it up. As much freedom as possible to tell your own stories here. The giant dungeon I already showed you. You have the option to explore a huge ruined city. We really have so many. We have almost 3,000 different scenes which leave very little to be desired. And more are being added all the time. So until next time, when we meet again to the next release, I hope you like what you are seeing. Auf Wiedersehen, bis zum nächsten Mal.